All right. Hello, everyone. Good
All
morning.
right. Hello, everyone.
Let me hear a little bit of myself. That was a good catch. Hello, everyone. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. This is Tech Tuesday. It's Sneaker Week 2021. We've got a big crowd of people out there, and I'm super excited for this next workflow demo brought to you by the fabulous people at Gravity Sketch and, of course, Adidas. Note for everyone in the chat, we will be taking questions throughout this workflow demo. Please drop those questions in the chat. As we go through, we're going to have some moments where the team are going to pause. We'll get those questions in. We'll also have a Q&A session at the very, very end. But thank you all again for tuning in. It's always exciting to see, this many people in the chat and to be able to know what is coming up next. Is going to be pretty amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Daniela to give you a rundown on what y'all are going to see today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Daniela, co-founder of Gravity Sketch. And well, today it's not really about me or Gravity Sketch, even though, there's going to be a lot of Gravity Sketch in this presentation. It's really all about, the team at Adidas that has been doing some really incredible work. Just a bit of information of what Gravity Sketch is. Well, Gravity Sketch is a tool that enables designers and creative teams to create and collaborate in the quickest and most intuitive way possible by enabling, working in 3D from day one through spatially. So today we're going to be seeing the team at Adidas present their kind of like crazy, amazing workflow that they have been developing in Gravity Sketch. So we're going to be jumping into co-creation with them. Co-creation is that functionality of Gravity Sketch where you can have multiple people in the same virtual environment working together from anywhere in the world, essentially. And so what you're basically going to be seeing is me navigating through the experience that they have created, and each one of the designers is going to be in the different sections of the experience, explaining all of you guys what they have been working on and how they're kind of like completely transforming the way that they work. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll pass it over to Arnau and to the team.
Hey, hello, thanks Daniela. Hello, welcome everyone. Yeah, I think we're so thrilled and happy to be here sharing the stage with Gravity Sketch and Wacom on the Sneaker Week to share some of our creative process, our workflow, how we've been operating the last year and a half. And just a quick intro for each of us and myself. My name is Arnau San Juan. I'm from Spain. I'm currently working in Brooklyn. I'm footwear design director. And I've been using actually the tool 1 year and a half, actually. And yeah, it's been really great. So with that said, I will hand over to Marius for a quick intro.
Hey everyone. My name is Marius Jung. I am originally from Germany. I work for Adidas in innovation. I'm a senior footwear designer. And I've been also like working with the tool since 1.5 years. So it's been a blessing during the pandemic. And I would pass it off to Robbie.
You're on mute, Robbie.
Hey, I'm Robbie Stinchcombe. I've been working with Arnau and this beautiful team at Adidas Innovation for a little under 2 years, primarily working in VR and VR design. And I've been working with Gravity Sketch specifically since it came out in beta in 2017. And yes, Pascal, tell us what's up.
Hey, Robbie, thanks. Yeah, my name is Pascal Scholz, and I'm also part of the design team in Brooklyn. I'm footwear designer there. And I have to say, for me, I'm like, where I'm coming from, it was always like a lot of Photoshop, like, Illustrator, like the classic tools. But now I'm using the tool like Gravity Sketch since a little more than a year. And I have to say, it was a really nice journey. That's really like opening new spaces. So very happy to be part of this crew here today. And yeah, handing it over to Stra.
Hey everyone, thanks Pascal. I'm Strahinja Spasic. I'm coming from Serbia, and I've been working with this team in Brooklyn for a little bit over 2 years now. And I've been using the Gravity Sketch tool, I think a little bit over a year and a half now.
Great, awesome. Well, that's the theme that you're going to be seeing inside of VR. Just heads up, you're not going to be seeing them like this. You're going to be seeing these floating headsets in the scene. So just remember their faces for now. And yeah, let's jump into co-creation.
Let's go.
All right. So I guess I'm waiting for Daniela.
Give me just 1 second to make the experience really good for everyone. There we go.
Looks like she's getting her position dialed in. Everyone in the chat is super stoked. It's pretty rad.
All right. All right. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yep, I think we're good.
Perfect. All right. So Daniela is in place, and I would like to welcome everyone to our virtual creation space for Future Natural. And within the next 45 minutes, we would like to show you and like celebrate this new way of imagining and creating footwear. But before we dive into like the different steps and like all the details we worked on, I would like to like briefly dive into the topic of Future Natural, because this is what we're talking about today. So I guess the name is somehow a little bit self-explaining, right? But like what Future Natural is about is really like creating like the most natural product for our athlete, right? Like a product that allows the athlete to move in the most natural way possible. So the question for us was like, how can we actually truly build off this, right? Off the foot, and truly like engineer a product around the human anatomy. And how this happened, this is something you can see here on this board, was like, we took a lot of, measurements, we had like a lot of like foot scanning, etc. And we had like a good approach of like, from a technical point of view, how we wanted to tackle this. But then we were thinking about like, what could be a tool for us to truly create a holistic product, and a product that is really like, designed from a 360 angle. And this is when we really started to look into Gravity Sketch. So today we actually really want to like show you how this was done, show you how we like went through the different stages. And with that said, I would love to hand it over to Robbie, who will show you the first stage of this journey.
Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the next room here.
Hey, Robbie.
So, yeah, thanks, Pascal. And I think what's cool about this project of Future Natural and using the foot as a last is that you get to make a lot of more anatomical and kind of intrinsic design decisions that are largely based around anatomy. And one of the first things you notice drawing in 3D is that you're able to just break away entirely from a lateral view and start thinking about the form of the foot, not just from a side angle, but really from all over. And that thought process, along with the extra dimension of using 3D sketching, can allow you to create and articulate a lot of complex forms and a lot of complex thoughts that you could otherwise not really extrapolate or communicate in 3D. So here you see a lot of iterations from the team. Some of this stuff is just following lines on the foot or taking more of an organic approach and enhancing certain features, fat pads of the foot to create a cushioning space that is kind of clean, has like this flared forefoot and kind of this sculpted arch as well. And then once you do a lot of this exploration, it leads you to something like this behind you. Line art like this. And with this line art, you can start to get an understanding of a design way better than you could on a 2D sketch. Or even from just these drawings around the foot, be able to understand how this becomes part of a product. In this case, we can just put an upper on these lines that I drew around the foot pretty easily right here. And with this collar shape, I'm also keeping in mind the fact that it's not just a single articulated silhouette. It's actually a 3D collar shape that I can look at from every angle. And then from there, iterate different ideas. So maybe we have a high top. Maybe these come down a little bit further. But in the end, you end up with a line art that's clean, as simple, and you can bring it over here to this next room to talk about surfacing.
Thanks, Robbie. I take it over from here. So I think what's interesting here is if you look at the model that Robbie is working on right now, it's like you can really like take the base of the line art that we created in the first stage and build off it. And the first time we can really use like, surfaces to create like a volume. And you can already see how this has a big impact on the whole shoe appearance, right? You can tell pretty clearly like where the upper is, where the tooling is, how, this is coming together in a, how the proportions are, right? Like how this is really working together. So this is definitely one way to handle this, right? Like from the line art to the surface. And I think to also see it this way, like Daniela, if you want to show the audience like what's here on the back, this is kind of like a way we know how to create, right? In 2D with like Photoshop, Illustrator, etc. And I think one thing again, what I was saying, like starting with Photoshop is like a thing I was very used to. But now looking into this exploration that we have here on the side, it takes pretty much the same time, but you can create, as you can see here, a fully holistic, in that case, very wild concept. So you can see like just 3 approaches, one, like quite expressive, like really, putting it to the limit. And then as we go here to the right side, like this is maybe more on like a finished side. And I just quickly want to show you, so just as an example, right, you can see how quickly we can like zoom in and like kind of like really look into the details of the shoe. But what you can see here, right, if we activate the dots, the points, it's an easy one to just, quickly do iterations. So there are actually a lot of people that start with, a simple square and start to ideate in terms of like a form language and etc. just from that. So again, highlighting the 360 approach of it, the quickness of it, how efficient it is. So for us, this was definitely, a model like this is maybe like a matter of, I don't know, like half an hour, let's say. So every one of you who knows Photoshop knows also like how long it might take to create kind of like the same impact. Yeah, so I think for this station, highlighting a little bit like how to get from like lines to surfaces, how to like start with like full volumes. I'm happy to answer like any question if there's one from the audience.
Perfect. I was going to say, excellent timing. So definitely. First question is, let me find it here. 1 second. We had a handful come through real quick. Let's see, where'd it go? Can you import geometries created from other softwares into Gravity Sketch co-creation mode?
Yes, you can. And this is definitely a topic we will also touch in one of our later stations. So that's actually a big thing. You can do this, and it's helpful, especially, and we will see that when you get more to like a finished level of the product.
Awesome. Next question is, how long did it take you all to get used to the buttons and the proper technique of sketching in 3D using the Oculus?
I would say, I mean, from my side, it was actually quite quick. I feel like the way the program is done is quite intuitive. So if you're like maybe a little bit familiar with like certain, creation tools, you will find it quite easy to get into it. I mean, honestly, I'm still learning every day something new, so there's definitely a lot to explore. But to get to the basics and like to create something like this is actually quite simple. So maybe just as an example, right? Can we do this? Everything starts with the square, and from there you can like pretty easily. Robbie, maybe you want to jump in. I know you're like the master of quick sketching here. There we go. Right, so what I want to say, right, like, just like look at this, if you guys can see this here, like starting from a square, it's pretty quick to, put like certain geometries in and modify like a certain volume. So I would say it's very quick to learn and it's very intuitive to learn. And I think, just look at what Robbie can do with this. It's a tool that definitely allows a lot of options in a very quick way.
That is amazing. Last question before we keep moving on. There's first off a ton of comments just on how rad the environment looks. A lot of good references out there. And this is a question about this environment, did you guys create these environments around the concepts or the other way around? Like which came first, the concept or the environment?
I have to say in this case, it was definitely the shoe that was first. And then we created it, but we have many examples where it was the other way around. So you have to imagine what you also see here in the back, what's now like some footwear sketches. This could be also a mood board, right? So like the whole thing could actually be a true creation space where you have everything that you would have in, a normal like designer office. So So to that, it's like a lot of times it really starts from zero when we start a new project. In this case, it was done afterwards.
Super cool. Yeah, let's keep on going through the presentation. Don't worry, guys. I am drafting all these questions down, and we will get to every single one of them.
Hey. Welcome everyone to our detail and communication stage here. And Pascal and Robbie had opportunity to show you a little bit around the line art and surfacing. And here you can see actually like how everything slowly starts to come together when we start adding a little bit of details, branding, pull tabs, and like how almost the same shoe, same concept can look completely different with just like simple retouching and like adding different elements on the shoe. And just to show you around a little bit, I will quickly iterate and make a quick pull tab just to showcase how really intuitive this tool is and how quickly you can play around and create like a really amazing content and like have a really nice results with it. I wonder if anyone has questions when it comes to detailing. Okay.
Yeah, actually we do. So there's a couple questions regarding texturing. So they say surfaces look cool, wondering about texture as well. How can you differentiate between different materials within Gravity Sketch? Like, are there some internal tools to help kind of visually explain different materials on the different parts of the shoe?
I think the expert for this would be for sure Robbie, but we have the next stage that is talking a little bit further about the texturing and about the more finished process and product. And after this, I would like to hand it over to Robbie, where we can talk a little bit more about communication.
Totally. Yeah. So I mean, after you get all your details on the silhouette and your surfacing and everything, it's not only like great for creation in our workflow, but also communication. So if you look at what has just appeared right here, this is a synthetic scene we've created, where over here we've got a little developer talking to a little designer. And what they've done is they've just exploded Straw's shoe, and they're now talking about it, each part. Everything from the pull tab he's made, maybe they're talking about these different lace loops. The developer here is rigorously taking notes. And I don't know, this scene is something that happens quite regularly after we've created something in Gravity Sketch, especially during times of COVID. To have two people in the same room discussing things, being able to write out notes directly in the space, and kind of assess and look at things in their native 3D environment. And then you can see here on the right, we've created this virtual tech pack that is something that you can do before you even get to Illustrator, before you even get to a point where you need to start literally speccing things out. You can go in here and just kind of have fun with it, talk about the different webbings you want to make, and then maybe iterate on that. Talk about the different laces we want, and maybe we want to do some flat laces instead. So these are all things that are open to discussion. It's a huge opportunity that we take advantage of within our workflow, is talking to people, having more direct communication, and ultimately saving a little bit of time. And yeah, with that, I might bring it over to Marius, and we can go over texturing and rendering.
Yeah, you want to take it away? You guys want to field a couple questions before we jump to Marius?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So I'm saving, just FYI for the chat, these are all wonderful questions. I'm saving some of the general questions for the end and trying to get to some of the more technical questions that apply to what the guys are talking about as we go. So first off, does this process, working in Gravity Sketch, aid or complicate the end production of the shoe?
I mean, ultimately, it aids. And I think what's important to, when you say the end production of the shoe, I think it's important that this process at least is assisting the beginning creation side and kind of the developmental side. And before we're passing it on to our more like injecting precision and things of that nature. So, I mean, it's kind of a tricky question, but of course,
yeah.
I don't know. What would you think, Arnaud? Or-
Yeah, but I'm not in the room, but yeah, I think I can talk from the distance. I think it's not complicated. I think for us it's been a way to really discuss, iterate with our triad, right? When I mean triad, I mean with development and our marketing counterparts. So it's been a way to really clearly define what we want to hand over, what we want to go ahead on the next stage when we talk about with our factory partners to start building a product. So actually, I wouldn't say that it's slowing down. Actually, it's accelerating some of the decisions that we want to take before to go into a real sample, I would say.
Exactly. To your point, Arnau, I just want to point out, like, we also found a way to implement the Gravity Sketch tool into our tech pack creation. So if I believe many people on this call are part of footwear industry, so they know how challenging some 2D tech pack can be, and like explaining certain volumes or shapes that we want to have. And this tool really helped us kind of explain further to our developers or suppliers like what we want to achieve. And it's really interesting how it started shaping our tech pack creation and how it started being in our pipeline day to day. So I would say it for sure speed up some of the process for sure.
Yeah, here's some more questions for you. This one's on detailing. Does Gravity Sketch have a tool to convert logos from PNG to surfaces?
Not necessarily, but what we can do if we wanted to is we could take a future natural logo PNG that we have, and then we can begin to paint with it upside down. So that's something we can kind of begin to play with, and it's kind of touches on that other question of textures and how you use textures, but this is also something that we do. It doesn't fit necessarily entirely into the design workflow, but it is nice to have some visual aids to play with, and transparency as well, which you'll see. I also, Megan, wanted to touch the question, can you bring textures into Gravity Sketch?
Yeah.
This is another iteration of the same shoe that we were working on that has been textured in Substance Painter, and those Substance Painter textures have been imported directly back into Gravity Sketch. So it is something that you can do and something that can help us further aid, but not necessarily pertinent to our workflow. I just wanted to show that that's possible as well.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me see. Oh my goodness, there are so many good questions. Okay, here's another good one before we move to maybe to the next station. How do you bring the surface model to prototyping phase, 3D printing, things like that?
So, I mean, most models from Gravity Sketch only require a small little bit of fixing before they go off to 3D printing. And we are working with some partners like Ultimaker. We have a 3D printer here in Brooklyn, New York, and we've talked about kind of a direct from Gravity Sketch to 3D print. But that kind of process, just prototyping and getting something actually pressing against your fingers, is just a matter of a watertight fix, and it's ready to go. Sometimes they even print straight from Gravity Sketch.
Oh, cool. Here's actually another good one too. Can two people modify the same mesh at the same time?
Ooh. That's been something. Yeah,
that's something that we addressed, and that's something that for sure would be really nice to have in the future. Because it can be sometimes I don't know, not stressful, but like annoying if you want to ideate quickly and like only one person can work on something in the edit mode. So I hope soon we will have that possibility as well.
Just one thing also maybe to add from the distance, I think we don't have that feature yet, but I think as you've seen in those stations, right, you can quickly duplicate the model right?
Yeah.
And then quickly iterate so you can still pitch each other ideas pretty quickly, I would say.
Exactly.
All right, you guys want to make your way to the next station?
Hey, welcome everyone. Here I think it's going to be really interesting because I think at this station we're going to answer a couple of the questions that came up earlier in regards of like how can you import something or can you import something, and more into the details on textures and finishing touches. So this station, as you can see, with the midsole, with the upper material, with all of the details that we need. And from here, basically, this is where we kind of leave the program Gravity Sketch and really export an object like this as a file and bring it into different software in order to fully kind of visualize the concept and bring it to like full life. And I think, Robbie, if you want to put the magic switch on, you see it here on the side quite well. This is, for example, a rendering that was created based on the model that I just showed you here. And you see all of a sudden now like how surface, how detailed we can go just by applying textures with different rendering programs. So you come from something that's quite looks in the complex and highly rendered and highly finished looking. And I think, I mean, as a lot of people in the industry are probably like watching right now, it's pretty amazing that you are able to create something like that within a short amount of time compared to sitting there hours and hours in front of Photoshop or Illustrator to replicate something in such a realistic way. So for us, a really amazing and quick way to visualize high quality concepts, and as well to communicate that, for example, communicate with a factory how we imagine it to look like the final result. I think we saw a lot of improvements and a lot of improvements in communication, especially when it's different kind of languages, different kind of cultures coming together. Visual communication is still absolutely key here. And then I want to move on the other side here, but where you see here, for example, these kind of different kind of colorways that I created. They're created the same way as the model, just in a rendering program. Just by one mouse click, we can really like, iterate on the colors, and we don't need to like spend time in Photoshop to adjust color. It's really like a drag and drop kind of scenario where we can visualize color and different kind of color schemes in a really fast way. Then here as well, if you look at this model here, this is like kind of the base model that is here, but with the clever use of light, here you see it in blue and red, you can set also like the tone and the atmosphere of that specific concept in a really nice way. And sometimes we bring those things, as you see here, back into Gravity Sketch as a PNG in order to keep communicating in the virtual space and keep ideating, keep spinning on those. If we look at the next couple of posters that we have here, I think something really amazing that we also touched on earlier was that we are able to, for example, bring a tooling, a geometry in that is coming from the factory. So, for example, when they revise at some point one of our designs and then like adjust and have the real 3D data, we can bring that in. So the tooling that you see here is really the tooling that we brought in from factory. In addition, on top, you see like the upper material, like a knit that Pascal has created, and you see how detailed he really goes in here. Daniela, if you want to come close and really look at those individual lines that he has kind of created in order to simulate this kind of material in the best way. You see it here also like in this frame on a really detailed level, how accurate you can be. Of course, it needs a lot of patience, so props to Pascal for having that here, but you see on the side here just the overall result and the outcome once bringing like a geometry like that from Gravity Sketch back into another rendering software, and you see how realistic you can like just simulate an outcome visually. And I think that's been a really, really big learning for us as a team, really looking at the quick and fast impact of like visual communication with those kind of rendering tools that we have based on, and again, I'll bring it based on in order to create something that's like so powerful as the green concept that you see here. Are there any questions in the chat based on the things that I've just shown?
There are so many questions. There are tons, and these are all super, super great. We actually did have a couple of questions on sub-D regarding sub-D surfaces. So first part is, are these models made with sub-D surfaces? And then the next one after that, where did it go? I lost, there's literally so many questions. Yeah, let's just start with, are these made with sub-D surfaces? Yes.
Yes, a lot of those volumes and most of the things that we create here are really made with like sub-D. I think it's a pretty amazing tool for us, especially in this software, to quickly like ideate and really get like realistic kind of shapes and forms. So for us, a key tool to use in the program itself.
Super cool. Next question is, how do you group the models together? I think when they say models, I'm thinking components of the models.
That's also like a super easy one. Basically, you can do that with like one click on your joysticks here, and to group them together. So you have kind of a sphere. I'm not sure if you can see that right now. And then, for example, if I would like to group those kind of two shoes, button. That's like, if you want to combine the laces with the upper, those kind of different things, also ungroup them again. So overall as well, like super easy and quick to do.
Super cool. Here's actually a good question. Going back a bit to manufacturing, how much of what is created in Gravity Sketch is shared with manufacturing partners?
I mean, you have to imagine like this process is still quite new for us, and we're kind of as well like pushing and briefing the factory to come with us on this journey. But what we've noticed so far is that overall, when we communicate, when we pitch those things back and forth, that already we can see improvements in like getting to a more realistic level at a sooner stage, a more refined level in the concepts that we create. So overall, I would say based on the things that we've experienced over the last 1.5 years, we can already see big improvements, and we have a lot of hope for the industry to move forward in a way like that.
Super cool. Here's another technical question of the tools that you have. Are there measurement tools in Gravity Sketch? So things to help keep track of scale, accurate measurements, things like that.
So far as I'm aware of, there are no measurement tools, but this is also something that we talked about with the Gravity Sketch team, and definitely something that is probably going to be implemented. So again, we are still here at the starting points of it all, but already like we're looking to more this kind of detailed approach further and further in order to have a super exact communication and translation out of Gravity Sketch into other programs to have like exact tag packs, for example.
Cool. Oh, here's another good one. When you export models out of Gravity Sketch, can you control the scale of the models in the exporting process?
This is an interesting one. I think, Robbie, if you have maybe an answer there, I'm not quite sure if I'm able to answer that fully.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, and it kind of speaks to the question before that too, of like implementing precision. And that's like one of the biggest things with this Blue Sky program, where you can draw and scale whatever you want. So yeah, you can scale the models afterwards, and usually in our workflow we can work off, in this case it was a foot, but sometimes it's a last, and we work off a template to create something that already has proportions and is to scale. So it's something we're constantly kind of figuring out how we can work into our workflow.
Any more questions? Otherwise, I think we could move to.
Yeah, let's go. I'm collecting all of the kind of general overview questions to save for the end. I think it'll be easy just to kind of powerhouse through those ones. So yeah, let's keep on going to the next question, and then everyone, or next section, everyone keep dropping those questions into the chat.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So yeah, we're right to the final stage where we're gonna showcase a bit all the process that we've been talking about, and also to showcase some of the real product, right, that this process led to. So as Pascal was starting, right, to mention the first stage, we start with the foot, all about anatomy, all about 360, and then step by step, right, we went to the liner, to draw around the foot, and then to the surfacing. I think here Pascal and Robbie did a great job just explaining how easy it's to iterate, how easy it's to apply surfaces to already an existing liner. And then Strahinja and Robbie also were explaining about how many details we can add step by step, right? If we're talking about overlays, we can also build the lining areas of the shoe, right? So you can make yourself super small and even enter inside the shoe if you want to really, let's say, design the lining material, for example. So that's a great stage from our side, because here we can iterate between different designers and really have different options to present into our, let's say, leadership team, or either just to show to our partners. And then to the final one, as Marius was explaining, we have the latest model, right? The one on Gravity Sketch that after it's ready to export to any kind of rendering software. So I think that's the final model that we have, and then before to export it. And normally here, as Marius and the team was mentioning, right here we try to refine everything, all the details, right, that you can add here after it's going to be really well implemented into the 3D software for rendering, as applying texture, materials, lights, and any kind of detail additional that we want to add. With that said, I mean, you have an overview of the process that we went through, and I want to show you a little bit, some of the real product that it's on the market. It's going to come. So you can see on the left-hand side, you see the Human Race Future Natural Pharrell Williams shoe that you can see a lot of similarities of what we've been showing through the process about the 360, about the complete direct inject tooling that we see there, as well as some of the first prototypes that we had here on the center of the page, the one that you see, the white samples fading into black, also other iterations within the same model, and as well on the right side, the shoe that is on the market currently, the running shoes like training for Future Natural. And then you can see a little bit that everything that we've been working on at the end has a place on a real product, and it really helped us to communicate, to create, to iterate, and at the end of the day, to do our job and put product on the market. With that said, I would just want to invite all the team here on the last stage just to congratulate everyone, because I think it's been hello everyone, hello everyone is here. So it's been great. I think that experience that we've shared creating that space, working on the project, I think it's really been an unlock for us during the last year and a half. And just want to say thank you to Marius, Strahinja, Robbie, and Pascal. And I think Pascal has a little surprise that he's going to share, so I let him lead the final surprise here.
All right, thanks Arnaud. So what we're gonna do now is we actually gonna leave the space station. So just follow me.
Oh, up through that little tunnel. Here we go.
So I think what's interesting, what you guys also saw like in all the previous stations, is like how it's so easy to like, zoom in to see all the details, to like really like dive deep into a product creation. But what you can see here also is it's easy to zoom out, right, and to see the bigger picture. So it is a human footprint. And with that, I wanna thank also like the whole team for this process, for this fun creation. And also like I hope you got a nice sense for how this tool allows us to create in a 360 way, right? Like I guess like the way we create products these days is like not, just the tooling, just an upper, but it is like a 360 approach. And yeah, we hope to be able to show you like how this is possible with this tool. As well as, I guess it was quite clear how, efficient and intuitive the process is, but I hope it also came across how fun it is, right? It's really like truly a collaborative tool, something that I think Marius was mentioning it, especially like in lockdown times, it's like really something that allows us to be creative in a common space. So with that said, thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and I guess we talk in a bit.
Yeah, thank you guys. And actually that was a question that did come up of are you guys designing all in the same physical location? And no, you're not. I think at this point right now we are all over the globe, everywhere, which is super cool, which I think is another, huge benefit and such a great feature within the co-creation space in Gravity Sketch. Yes, this is recorded and it will be ready for playback too. So have no fear. I know there was so much. I feel like I could watch this over multiple times and just dig into, spend some time in each moment. We do have a lot of really great questions coming up. So we'll let the team all return back from the Oasis. And I would wonder if they did a design competition in Gravity Sketch. We'll plan that for next year. I do like that. Welcome back, Daniela's back. Good camera skills. So I've got a handful of questions. Again, thank you to everyone in the chat. These questions are super great. So I want to start with this question that popped up a little earlier. Outside of large brands, outside of if you work at, a big tech company, where can people get their hands on Gravity Sketch? How does that happen for the folks out there?
Well, actually, Gravity Sketch is free. Anyone can just go to the Oculus Store or to Steam and download it. Of course, you need a VR headset, or if you want to use it on the iPad, you can also do it there. But yeah, it's out there, it's free, everyone can jump in and start creating magic with it.
Super cool. Next question about headsets. Does it work with the Quest 2 or just newer headsets? Followed with, do y'all have a favorite?
I'll let you guys say if you have a favorite one, but I'll say that it works with Quest 1, Quest 2, basically all the 6 degrees of freedom headsets out there.
Super.
Yeah, I
Rift,
have a favorite.
Vive, Index, everything.
Any favorite headsets out there?
Yeah, I think where we started all together, I think Robbie, he started, he can explain a little bit how you started, Robbie, but I think in our side, I think we started with Oculus One, right? I think last year, and recently we just update with the 2. That is a little bit lighter. I think it has a little bit more resolution on the screen. But in general, I think with the Oculus One, we've been working, I think, actually the full year almost, right? I think we just recently updated to the 2.
Super cool.
Also, it's also really interesting because it's something, you don't see the product all the time. It just is a door to a different world, and you forget about the actual product sitting on your head, which I also think is really important to mention. It's more like the world in there that's exciting. So I think whatever kind of headset, like as long as it gives you access, it's amazing.
Yeah, 100%. What has been the hardest thing for you guys as designers to learn VR? What's been the most difficult, challenging piece of learning VR, and what has been the best thing about it?
I think maybe if I just like jump really quick, I think for a lot of us it was really like throwing away everything we learned, and trusting fully something new and really pushing on that. So like we've been all like trained in Photoshop, Illustrator, all of those kind of tools, but we said okay, let's pause that. We know we can do that. Let's see where this journey takes us. And I mean, please team join in, but I think like this has been insane for us.
It's also really crazy how easily you can visualize the concept from all the different angles, right? Like for something like that in Photoshop or Illustrator, you're gonna need hours to, first of all, to nail down the right proportions, and then to resketch all over that concept from all the other views. That's just like crazy amount of work. So being able to create something like this in 3D super quickly, I think it's really like liberating, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I think, Robbie, go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, it's an exciting new tool for any creative person jumping into it, but I'd say that us working for a large footwear brand and being all designers in the industry, it's not just about using Gravity Sketch and getting used to it, but it's like, okay, how does what I do here make an impact at my job?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only a challenge, but also like a blessing. And it's the experiments that we've been running for the past 2 years of like, yeah, I was able to whip up 30 3D models. Now, how does that help us in the pipeline?
Mm-hmm.
Or, but I'd say that's the biggest challenge for me right now is the marriage between this new tool and the innovation team that we have and the workflow that already exists.
And I just want to add one thing about how difficult it was. I think in general, in our case as a product designers, right, we already know a little bit volumetry, even if we sketch in 2D, right? So I think, but in general, I think the Gravity Sketch is so intuitive that I think what we've seen, we've been experienced with a lot of people, let's say really experienced designers or really newcomers, or even not people within design. People are picking up the tool really, really fast. For sure, some people are a bit faster than others, but in general, if we would compare Gravity Sketch to the old way of working with Photoshop and Illustrator, the learning curve is miles ahead, right? You go much faster.
This is a question that actually ties back to what Straw had mentioned earlier. How much time do you spend in VR generally, for maybe not for fun, maybe regarding your design process, but then also how much time is spent in Gravity Sketch versus 2D programs? And you brought up a good point of when you're in Photoshop, when you're designing in Photoshop, it's two-dimensional. So you have to draw and design every single side and all those angles, where in Gravity Sketch, you can work in the round. So how has that been? Does it streamlining, saving a lot more time? What's the hours in the headset look like?
I feel like I can jump in here. Honestly, it really depends on the phase of your project, I would say, right? It's like, especially in the beginning when it's about, exploring the new, like really like, getting into ideation, that tool is just like so fast and efficient. You get like a result pretty quickly that you can share with your colleagues, and talk and like develop it further together. And then obviously there are some other phases where, let's say like a later tech pack phase, where it is still like an Illustrator and it is still like a 2D software. But that's how I would say it. And I think Robbie was mentioning this before, how we're kind of we're trying to like really, explore the potential of Gravity Sketch also into, for example, more of like a refinement phase where it is about finishing like the product and communicating with the factory. But in that sense, I think it's a versatile tool. It's like, it right now, like if you guys want to have a number, I would say it's like definitely like a 50-50, right? It's definitely a lot of time I spent in VR. So, and I'm sure it's gonna change to even more.
And it's also like in a lot of ways, it's really, we use it quite often in a team as a kind of refresher, I feel. You know, sometimes where we're not sure which direction something is going, we just jump in together and have fun. Like, you know, like kids back in the day without restrictions, like modeling something together, and we find ourselves having the best time and getting lost in there, you know? And I think this is a part of the process that we as creatives, like especially working in like big corporations, sometimes miss a bit. So I think the tool itself gave us this kind of fun aspect and the easiness and the intuitive process of just being creative back. So that's why we definitely use it in phases, and it's not something that we use all day long, right? But we like to use it when we feel like we need a refresher, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. Here's a little technical question, and you mentioned this. How do you take care of all the layers, and how do you keep those rooms organized? Especially in co-creation when there's so many of you. How do you just keep things from floating away?
I'd say that's like one of the biggest things about implementing this insanely. I remember I shopped this. I snuck onto the Nike campus and pitched it to them. And basically what they told me is that it was too blue sky. And this was in 2018 when you needed room scanners and you needed all this extra stuff. It wasn't as versatile as the Quest where you can take it on a bus, but blue sky, right? It's blue sky. And that's the beauty of it. It's also kind of the curse of it when you come down to making a thing. And so I'm not going to speak for everyone. I know it's a challenge keeping my layers organized in Illustrator already.
Yep.
But I'd say that having templates is really important. Especially if you're a designer and you want to get used to Gravity Sketch and not be overwhelmed, putting a last on a layer with a ground plane, a certain amount above that ground plane, and then locking that layer and not touching it at all, and letting that be your template and kind of your guide to scale and give you proportions. Because it's a lot. You're literally lost in space when you're in there.
Yeah.
I would say just lock everything before you leave the room. Lock everything.
That's a good,
especially your layers.
Especially your layers.
I have Robbie texting me all the time. Yo, Stra, you need to unlock these layers. No.
I was gonna ask, can you unlock other people's layers? But probably not. That's good.
No, that's a good thing about it.
Here's actually a good question. Within the greater, product design pipeline workflow, are the developers embracing the VR portion of the overall creative workflow? How are the other teams that you guys are involved with?
I think as the team was mentioning, it's been pretty new, right? Let's say 1 year and a half. But I think step by step, we're bringing more people in, right? I think people at the beginning of it are more hesitant, right? Because as Robbie was mentioning, sometimes they feel that it's too blue sky. But actually, I mean, step by step, I think we've been working on projects that we're bringing developers together. And not everyone needs to have a headset. It's something that we discussed the other day, right? That somebody can stream into a normal computer, right? And then the developer just can sit there and watch the designers iterate and have a discussion, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not 100% that everyone needs to have the headset. But I think step by step, we're getting more people in. And I think it's just going to matter of time that I think we're bringing everyone, right? Just in that process.
It's also cool to have an amazing developer who is up for a challenge. And I think we're blessed that we have people like that. So I think people that are not designers will start picking it up more and more.
For sure. Here's a good one. How much more efficient is your seasonal process with Gravity Sketch?
Just a quick, as Marius, I mean, as we did in the intro, so we're in the innovation team, right? So we most likely don't put anything straight to the market. but actually, even if we don't put to the market, from the starting point to the final product, when we need to hand over to the business unit, for example, it's been really helpful, and everything it's been faster, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I also would like to point out that, for us, sustainability becomes a bigger and bigger topic. It's so highly relevant. And I think what this process allows us as well so much is making decisions really quick in a virtual space without creating any waste. And, drafting up colors and materials and all of that. I think that's something that's gonna hopefully affect the industry in a really big way, and something that's really, really powerful that we see the potential now that this tool can have, and for a better future for us all in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's
on that, Marcus, I have a question. Do you think it's also going to reduce the amount of traveling?
For sure. I think we are facing that already, right? All of us haven't really traveled so much. We used to travel quite a lot, but just alone, again, it's all about communication. Usually we travel to factories in order to communicate, to sit there to communicate and get a project further. And if we already can visualize something on such a high detail and such a clear vision and communicate in that way, I see, of course, that we probably less travel needed, or that would be the hope. So I think it's all about the communication here, and big hopes.
Yeah, that is cool. Here's another really good question about the actual workspace that you all have. How does the workspace evolve over time? Do you guys build more rooms, let's say rooms for sketching? Sketches are parts of the process. So do you continue to create little offshoot areas within the greater co-creation space? And can you always listen to everyone speaking in co-creation?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like any shared project. I think you start a room maybe to just get ideas out there. And as it goes on, we've had rooms that are more ideation rooms where you're just creating and you end up with a plethora of stuff that just everywhere. And there's been other rooms where we take that room, or we even pick what we like from that room and create more of a presentation style content like what you've seen today. Or we've even done some dome half shell presentations with all the iterations there in a row. And I've definitely explored everything from setting up a new room for a presentation, or setting it up just as Fridays we talk about underfoot platforms or whatever, some sort of thing. So it's kind of fun.
And Megan, one thing I want to highlight, I think Marius touched it before, I'll read Robbie. I think the co-creation room, especially during COVID time, but even just to generate as a designers, it's been kind of a blessing for us. Because if we look at the whole process, right, everyone is an expert in Photoshop, but you cannot sketch simultaneously all together in the same file, right? And I think the co-creation and those rooms allow us to bond more together as a design team, because we can share the same room and we don't have that much egos anymore. Because you can grab the model from Strahinja, I can duplicate it and modify it, and Marius can grab mine, and the other way around, right? So I think it's been allowing us also, for sure during COVID time, but allowing us to really collaborate in a way that we never seen before. So.
And do you think oh, sorry, Marius, go ahead.
No, just quickly adding on that, I think it's also really cool, and I think you saw that right with it's not our real person in there, it's like an icon, and you see just the mouth moving and you see the two joysticks, and it's in a really fun way, but you still get this communication of gestures and mimics in a way, which is also so necessary for us in our day-to-day that we usually would have in the office, interaction. So I felt personally it was really nice to see a team interact in a 3D space together compared to a flat call where it's just the face. It feels different. It feels different if someone moves around you and you hear the voice traveling. you get a whole different sensation. You're in this world. So I think touching on that, it's been really nice to just stay in touch and have some sort of like connection, even if it's in a virtual space, while we were missing our real office space.
Well, I was gonna ask if now this new way of working, where you're like, you were saying that now you can grab somebody else's sketch and just like continue working on it, or just create something new, but like still having this collaboration. You can be inside of like your sketch, or also make it really tiny. So like, is this way of working making you think about your designs in a different way? Like, what I'm trying to get at is, do you think the shoes that you're going to make in the future are going to look very, very different from like what you were doing before?
Yeah, 100%, I would say, because I think designing in 3D, right? I mean, normally in 2D, you are guessing, right? I mean, you do a render, you can do a magnificent kind of execution, but you don't know what's happening behind that volume that you just put highlights and shadows, right? And here, actually, it allows you to create completely different volumetry, right? Completely different underfoot platforms, as Robbie was mentioning. I think, and you saw the explorations that Pascal was showing on the stage 3, right? Quick explorations that would be so hard to do in 2D. It would take so much time, or even you could never go there, right? Because you need to have that 3D model on space to really analyze where to build geometries, right? So I think for sure, I would say from my side, 100%.
Totally. You also, like, there's a certain amount that of the tool itself that always influences design, whether it's like a certain style paintbrush on a painting, or like, when Illustrator came out in the mid 80s, suddenly every product had these nice radius curves to them. So I think that totally, as we continue to go into this third dimension of designing products in their kind of native 3D environment, it's dope. So I think it definitely expands even the thought capabilities that we have, not just designing on paper, the way we begin to think spatially.
Yeah, here's another really good question. How might tools like Gravity Sketch help Adidas connect with customers? This person said, I'd love to be able to get the story behind the design process for any shoe, piece of clothing, anything you buy that's created using Gravity Sketch.
Yeah, maybe I think as well, like, I mean, this whole new process is amazing. And maybe it starts with us, right? With the designers actually using the tool, using the technology. But I can definitely see that over the next couple of years, this will just influence the whole chain we kind of work in, until into the stores, into the streets, like how things are advertised, how things are shown in the stores on the shelves. I think we haven't even started really thinking about that. But I think as it's, we see ourselves becoming more and more digital, and the things we put out more and more digital. So it's going to definitely have a home.
Totally.
For sure. Then there have been a handful of questions of other places, YouTube, maybe, to learn or to see some tutorials on Gravity Sketch, so people, as they start to get their hands on these cool tools, can learn. Also, there was a call out, Robbie. They were like, do you have any tutorials on YouTube?
I don't. I saw maybe if it's somebody who works at Adidas, anybody working at Adidas watching this, like hit us up on Teams, and we would be happy. If you have a headset already, like, I would be definitely happy to kind of like help onboard you there. We do have some modules we were talking about with the Seed School, some classes that we're working on, and at some point those will be kind of standardized into the Adidas process and open to the designers there. But right now it's proprietary. There are some great YouTube people online though, and it's like ever expanding. Every day I see a new tutorial from somebody, and I'm like, oh my god, I didn't even know you could do that with the tool. So
I would add my 2 cents here. Like, there's a lot of content on our YouTube channel, the Gravity Sketch channel. There's a Discord channel as well, where the community gets together and exchanges tips and tricks. But definitely, I would say that the best way to learn Gravity Sketch is to just see other people using it. So there's a lot of content out there of people just sharing how they do things. Because the one really good thing about Gravity Sketch is that there is no one way of doing something. Each person has their own style and their own tips and tricks. We are also learning from the users as we go on.
Absolutely. Any questions from you, Daniela? Do you have any questions for the team lined up?
Yes, I do have some. So when we were speaking offline, like having some offline conversations, Arnau, you were saying that now you're seeing people, and you briefly mentioned it today, that you're seeing people with different skills and different, level of skills and maybe different backgrounds, being able to have the same conversations, or like just basically leveling everyone out, so that the conversation is really more about the product and the design as opposed to the specific skills that you have. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I was touching a little bit before about the learning curve, right? That the software has, and then what we've experienced, all of us, right? That some people are picking up slightly faster than the others, but at the end of the day, I think what we've seen is like everyone in our team and even in other teams are in a matter of, let's say, maybe 1 month, I would say, right? If you work a little bit every day or a couple of days, you really have reached a level that it's really, really good, right? I think something that I remember, because I was, I think same as everyone here, right? We've been training Photoshop, and Photoshop, it takes time until you achieve the certain level of rendering, right? And there's people really, really good. But somehow here you create your 3D model that then after also when you export that into another 3D rendering software, I mean, everyone has the same level, right? Because you put the same material, it's maybe a slightly different silhouette or geometry, but it's easy to level up everyone. I think it's what we've seen. And I would love to hear, I think, someone in the team, if you have anything else to say, for sure.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it really gave me superpowers, because I mean the team knows I'm usually building things with my hands. I love to build things with my hands and quick prototypes and things like that. And I have a hard time translating 3D on a 2D paper. But while using that tool, all of a sudden I was able to communicate 3D geometries and build in a virtual space. So I think for me that personally, I felt really empowered by the tool, because all of a sudden I was able to keep up with some of our 3D designers and show as well concepts, be like, hey, I have this idea, this and this. And I think that's been really good and really relieving for me, being in of course, in a really corporate and also competitive space where so many talented people are. It really took a burden off my shoulders in a way, which was really nice to experience. Personally.
Yeah, I want to add to this. I think some of us on this call are probably a bit obsessed with Photoshop. At least we were. And I know how much time, at least for me, took to develop the skill there. And I remember when I first picked up the tool, the Gravity Sketch, it took me like a month and a half with a little bit of help of Robbie, right? To have crazy, I think even better results, way better results than I would ever had in Photoshop. So after a month and a half compared to, I think, couple of years of working in Photoshop and upskilling there, I think it's a huge difference.
And I imagine that there's still going to be this mix, right? Because of different tools, and it's something really that it's conversations that we tend to have often with people, the same as you, Stra, that it's I have all these skills in 2D, sketching in 2D, I've developed all these throughout the years, and now you're telling me to throw it away. And in a way, it's not it's not that, and almost we don't want people to throw it away. But like, how can you, like, those skills that you've gained can be translated, but only now they're going to be in 3D, but you're also going to be mixing that. How are you seeing this now?
For me, it's more combining. Sorry, go Pascal.
No, you first try. I'm sure you have something good to say.
I just wanted to say, for me, it's like now not throwing away, but more kind of like finding my own way of combining all those elements together and making it my superpower in a way. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's also somehow what I wanted to say is kind of like when you have like one tool, sometimes, you know, you like, let's say a 2D sketch, it might that you end up in like kind of like a dead end, right? You just like, you're so much into it that you like really don't progress. And I feel like sometimes in those moments, like the best thing you can do is just like change the tool, right? And like jump into something different. I think this is definitely where like Gravity Sketch also adds, right? Like you have maybe some, I think we saw it also like in the third room, or in the third room where you have like some 2D sketches, but then you have the 3D, and it's almost like a ping pong, right? In between like the different platforms. And it definitely helps like to create and like to jump over some hurdles that you might have in your process.
Is the industry moving, do you think the industry is moving more towards, I know it's moving towards digital, but is it moving more towards 3D? Like, is there a need industry-wide for people to become 3D literate quickly?
I guess so. I mean, I feel like, I can speak for myself, especially. I definitely love hand sketching. That's something I will always do. But I definitely love all the new tools because it really opens a new thing. And again, to highlight, I think it's really about finding your own way of creating, like what activates your creativity, right? And I think 3D tools definitely do this. And I think it's definitely a new standard because I feel like at one point also, like our products will be so complex and figured out in terms of shape that you won't be able to achieve this with older tools, just older tools. And I think this is something we touched before, right? It's like when we design a 2D, we have like the side view and the bottom view, but then it's always the question, how is this coming together? And this is sometimes, you know, might end up with like something funky. And I feel like here it's like we can really design this. We can really make this the hero. Like how do the, you know, the different views come together? It's like, I mean, in a 3D sketch, in Gravity Sketch, within seconds, I can take every angle on the product, right? And I can really like figure out the proportion from this angle. So it really adds a lot of complexity, but in a very intuitive and fun way. And I think this is the magic of that new tool, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I have a couple of more questions. So one is a very kind of like straightforward one, kind of like technical, but what, like, you know, we've spoken a lot about like what do you do inside of Gravity Sketch, but what happens after Gravity Sketch, or how do you do that, you know, combination? I mean, we've touched on it briefly in the presentation on the rendering software, but are there any kind of like powerful combos that you use, like, you know, other software that you bring together with Gravity Sketch to bring your idea even further?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Keyshot is really cool because it's just drag and drop, and you can very immediately create really good presentation content. But there's a much bigger workflow, and especially when it comes to 3D and what the industry understands 3D as. Usually 3D engineers are engineers. They recreate the design, they spec it out, they make sure it's very left-brained and tactical-minded, and Gravity Sketch creates this gray area of 3D designers that both have a hand in creating 3D models and designing the tool. And it's really kind of up to the industry now how they go about reallocating, okay, what is 3D? What can we use, and what is more technically based? For instance, like when you get a Gravity Sketch shoe and you're like, okay, what now? We have this render, but like, can this do anything? And the answer is yes. you can import it into Rhino and communicate with the factory, similar to what Straw was talking about, talking to developers and even having the developers hand over those 3D files with a full comprehensive understanding of what the shape is. But on top of that, what we're moving towards is this getting rid of Illustrator completely and having a fully digital 3D workflow. And so there's obviously a lot of things, and I think we've acknowledged we're at just the beginning of creating something like that. But we're working right now closely with the manufacturing partners and engineers and traditional 3D roles to see what works best in Rhino and how can we keep that, and what works best in Gravity Sketch and how can we keep that and merge Rhino, which is the industry standard, with Gravity Sketch, which is a new tool. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has something to add to that.
Cool. And I'll have my last question, which is, are you ready? No, so my last question is, you've spoken a lot about fun, about having fun inside of Gravity Sketch, and sometimes that word is not really well received in a professional environment. Mm-hmm. How do you deal with this, or how do you explain this to your leadership, or like, is this well received in your industry now?
I think so far, the things that we worked on over the last 1.5 years, by using those kind of tools, I think they spoke for themselves. And it was not only us having fun creating those, but people had fun again looking at things and looking at things that are different and in a different kind of way created. So it's also like, it's not just like us having fun, it's like really expanding it, like it's creating a lot of interest. I think that's really well received so far. And that's why we get a lot of amazing feedback by our creative community as well. They want to jump into that tool because it promises so much. It promises so much. It communicates so well. And that's why I think, fun is going to be on the forefront in the future, hopefully.
I just want to add quick thought here. Creating something new should be fun, because that's why we're here and that's why we love this job. And that's it. That's from my side.
100%
agree.
Totally.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
And just to add one thing, I think, just to, as Maristra was saying, or everyone, I think it allows us, I think normally in our team, sometimes, Fridays, we do a session, right, that we go into Gravity, we have our personal projects, we ideate all together. And sometimes the tool allows you to go sideways sometimes. No, maybe we have a plan to do something during that time, but we ended up creating another wall because, we were pitching ideas to each other. What about this and what about that, right? It's so crazy that, it's really, really powerful. And fun, it's, for sure. Marius was saying the forefront. We're having so much fun for sure.
Yeah, and fun definitely is part of, being creative.
And I think also just the results speak for themselves. It's like, even though it takes a bit to like make proportions or something like that, having the amount of 3D content just in our own internal presentations at Adidas, it's exploded. Now, like it's becoming a new standard. And I think that it is because it's fun. It's because it's fun and you get results from it as well. So it's kind of cool to just watch people, skeptics that just kind of let the results speak for themselves in a way. But yeah.
And I feel as well, if we take a step back and look at our team and how we worked over the last 1.5 years, I think this tool was the glue that really bonded us even stronger together and really did something with us in our team dynamic that was new. And I think now we feel probably all really happy to have been on that journey together, which maybe at some point was difficult, like adopting something new and leaving something else on the side. But now we're kind of harvesting the fruit, and I think we're all pretty proud to even be here today and get this opportunity. We would have never imagined, but I think the tool brought us a lot of good things just for our team dynamic itself in times of a pandemic and isolation and things like that. So also just like another point that I think is important to mention.
And I think that is really great to hear. And I think everyone at Gravity Sketch is going to be super glad to hear, well, everything that you guys have said today, especially just what you just said, Marius. It's really, for us, it's really all about, and what makes us wake up every morning is to just know that we are empowering designers and creatives to just, have fun, create better, create more, get together, collaborate, and so on, and just do it in the best way possible. We are designers designing for designers, so we know the struggles, and also we also know the enjoyment of being able to just create and collaborate spatially.
Absolutely. And I love so now everyone in the chat, everyone just is wondering when they can all jump in a co-creation session with every single one of you. It's too fun. It looks too much fun. Thank you again, Daniela. Any more questions for all these guys?
That's for me. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah.
I mean, we're only getting started. Like the Oculus 2, it came out no more. The Oculus, the first Oculus came out, not the Rift, but the Quest in 2019. So it's been a very short amount of time since we've even adopted this software, and as we're adopting it more into the pipeline, like it's only going to get better. And I think one of the best parts is being able to like kind of work with you guys so directly, so we can be like, hey, we want to edit the same mesh at the same time, and kind of like have that direct access. I don't know. I'm really excited. This is only just a beginning snapshot of something that is well in the works.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to see how much you guys have accomplished with such new technology. And I always get excited as someone also in the tech space to see, knowing how quickly y'all have adapted and adopted this new tech, of the next class of people that are coming, the next round of designers, of just where they're going to pick up from where you guys have started and then run even farther. And it's just really exciting to just watch all of that unfold kind of in real time. I strongly suggest, if you don't already follow Gravity Sketch on all of the social medias, please do. There's a ton of great content that gets posted every single day. Again, their YouTube is like rife with such good tutorials, so make sure to follow them there. Any last comments before we set you guys free to the world?
Actually, I have one.
I go.
Yeah.
I have one. I kind of forgot to say after what Daniela said about like learning from other people and watching people and learn from them. I think the best way to learn actually this tool is just to jump right into it.
Sure.
And that's like everything else. I think like you just need to pick it up and go.
100%. Just get in there, dive in. Someone just had a suggestion of recreate an object in your house. I think we're surrounded by 3D objects everywhere, right? So just make a table, make a chair, start somewhere, just get in there and get your hands. I say get your hands dirty, but it's VR, so it's real clean.
and Strauss was mentioning, right? Don't be afraid, because I think all as a designers, I can talk as for myself, but always there was a little bit some space into 3D softwares, right? Alias, Maya, Rhino, right? Always there was a distance, right? That you're really good in sketching and, and even a Maker Lab making models, but always we felt that, I don't know, Maya or Rhino, it was something else. It was not for us, right? And I think that tool, it's kind of bridging that gap, right? To 3D. Now 3D is fun. It's not that thing that you didn't want to do at the university, right? I think now 3D is for everyone. Everyone can jump on it. Everyone is going to achieve a really nice level. So yeah, thanks also for Gravity Sketch, for coming up with the tool. I'm sure that it's not been easy also from your side, Daniel and team, but I think, yeah, you can see the results. I think not only for on us, but I think the community, right? I think it's amazing what the people are doing at the moment. So yeah, thanks also, Megan, for organizing and also the opportunity to bring us here and that we could share our work. So and thanks, Danielle, again. So thanks a lot.
Well, thanks everyone. Hey, Daniela, real quick, you mentioned Gravity Sketch has a Discord. Is that right?
That's right.
How do people find that? There's some questions everyone wants to know.
It is linked on our Instagram page.
Perfect.
So you can just go there and click on it.
Perfect. Instagram, link in bio.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Those questions were amazing. I actually think we did a great job of hitting pretty much every single question. Robbie, they're going to pay you for tutorials. This is just what the people want here in this chat. I'm just reading their comments. Thank you again to Daniela and the whole team at Adidas. We appreciate all y'all taking the time today and walk us through that demo. It was super rad. It will be recorded and released on the Twitch stream as well as SneakerWeekPDX.com. Stay tuned. We still have a whole day left of Sneaker Week. I know we're only so close to the end, but thank you again. It was super amazing to speak with you guys, and of course, again, everyone participating in the chat. We appreciate y'all. And have a fabulous Tuesday. We will be back live on this here Sneaker Week Twitch stream tonight at 5 p.m. with a live recording of Wacom's very own podcast. So if you're still awake and looking to hear more of my voice, tune in at 5 p.m. Pacific time. That's it. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see y'all soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.